the question, no trade or trade for Tee Higgins. I say the Titans should be interested in trading for Tee Higgins, but you have to do it after this NFL draft. And by entering this cannot be this is not like something you're putting your offseason on. Like, this is not an all-in, a bunch of chips on trading for Tee Higgins. This has to be a part of a bigger picture, but a move that you have to be okay with not getting Tee Higgins in a trade. So, as Paul Dinner mentioned from The Athletic, you've got the Bengals tagging him with 10 days left on the trade deadline for the tag. You go to the combine, you tell the Bengals, we want to trade for Tee Higgins. Here's our first offer. And you give them an offer that they probably might think about, but they're probably not going to accept. And if another team comes in before the draft and trades for Tee Higgins because they outbid you, so be it. That's okay. But after the draft, after the Titans use their 7th overall pick and their 38th overall pick in the second round, now go back to the Bengals if he hasn't been traded yet and say, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll give you picks in 2025 to trade for Tee Higgins. Now you can go get an offensive lineman at 7. Maybe you get a corner or another offensive lineman at 38. And now you go try to trade for Tee Higgins to help out your young quarterback, Will Levis. You bring in a guy that Brian Callahan is confident in, who he trusts. And in free agency, bringing in players that you trust is so important, so you don't get guys that come after the bag. And you get guys that will fit your system. And Tee Higgins has talked about Brian Callahan a lot in the media over the last couple of years, how much he likes him. And so it's a culture fit, it's a player fit, and it's a football fit. But you have to wait until after the draft to do it, and be okay if Tee Higgins goes somewhere else in a trade before the draft, or if the Bengals just say no. But yeah, I'm okay with a trade for Tee Higgins.
Austin, I'll be honest, I hate it. And the main reason why I hate it is, can you read that green number at the bottom?
Plus 15,000.
Plus 15,000. You're going to have to pay Tee Higgins a lot more than $15,000. Maybe a $15,000 a yard he gains. That may be how much you have to pay him. But Austin, the Titans are not, they're not going to be very good this year. Like, they may, but the odds, I'll throw that up there, Mr. Green, Mean Green, the odds, Vegas is pretty good, say that they're not going to be much of anything. Why? Is because they have an unproven quarterback. So, Austin, you're telling me that after this draft, you know what picks you have, at least right now, heading into this year's draft. Mm-hmm. Austin, you're going to end up trading away and being the Carolina Panthers. You're going to have a number 1 pick. And you know what? You're not going to do a damn thing about it. Or if you're going to have a second round pick that's going to be right there at the top, you could have the pick of the litter. You're doing that in a terrible year. And Tee Higgins is not the X factor, Austin, to get you anywhere you need to go. What you want is building blocks. In a best case scenario, it's February, but you want Will Levis to take steps. You want opportunity. Mm-hmm. CJ Stroud has done that this past year. Trevor Lawrence did that a couple of years ago. Taking steps. That's all you're asking Will Levis to do. The expectation is not to win the South. It's not to host a playoff game. It's not to get the AFC title. Sure as hell not to be a Super Bowl. But Austin, you're saying you are going to trade that away after the draft, and you're 15,000. I mean, you're 15,000 right there. I think that, and on top of trading a future very good pick, presumably, you're going to have to pay this man. I guess here, this is what I'll ask. How much do you think after you trade and give up possibly, and I don't even know what round we're talking, but it's going to be at the top of that round because that's probably where the Titans are going to be picking like they have the last 2 seasons. Like they have the last 2 seasons. And then on top of that, how much are you going to have to pay this man?
I'm not worried about paying him. Like, I think that the Titans shouldn't. This is the time for the Titans to invest in money in players around Will Levis because Will Levis is so cheap.
No, I get what you're saying there. This is the time to set the foundational pieces by drafting well, and trading away draft picks are not the way to do that. You've said that yourself numerous times. How you win the Super Bowl is you draft very well. Why Tee Higgins and the Cincinnati Bengals are even in this situation is because they drafted very well. The Titans, if they drafted A.J. Brown very well, and then they screwed that pooch. But like, that's how you win. Trading away draft picks to pay an astronomical amount of money to a wide receiver that is kind of an unproven number one wide receiver. He hasn't had the opportunity yet, right? So I'll give him that. But this makes zero sense to me. I whether it's now or later, and you can take that as what you want.
And so, like, to go back, there is no way the Tennessee Titans should give up a draft pick in 2024's draft for Tee Higgins. That would be malpractice. So I just understand where I'm at there. But I think in 2025's draft, where you have some flexibility, I get what you're saying. Your opinion is the Titans will be picking like top 5 next year.
Yeah, top 5. Even if it's top 10, the last 2 years they've been right around the top 10. That's where you get value. You know what, Austin? Because what did they do with a top 10 pick in the second round? It gives you flexibility to move up, Will Levis, to get your guy. But when you're picking 17th or middle of the road, you don't have that. And the Titans are probably not going to be middle of the road. They're going to be towards the bottom of the league just based on where they are. They reset. They fired their head coach. They got rid of their quarterback. They got rid of their franchise player and their running back, their key piece. They now gave the keys to their general manager, and they hired a new offensive-minded head coach. I think these are okay. These are good decisions. I'm not saying they're bad decisions. But you can't just play and shoot from the hip from the Wild Wild West now that you've changed and say, let's go trade away picks that they earned by losing games and go pay Tee Higgins that I think is going to be overpaid.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tee Higgins
but like by a wide margin, and he's going to be thrown into a number one wide receiver position. Which is why I think that he can do that.
Well, yeah, because he's been next to Jamar Chase. Like, it's just like I'm not holding Tee Higgins or that against Tee Higgins at all. You know, I also think having Tee Higgins on this team with one more year of DeAndre Hopkins and having it be Levis, D-Hop, and Higgins and Spears, I think I'm trying to build something for 2025, 2026 rather than 2024. I understand your point there, but I agree with Trey a little bit. Like, the roster's not even set, and you're having the Titans picking top 5 or top 10. Like, I don't necessarily know if I can believe that. Again, I'm saying the only way to trade for Tee Higgins is after this year's draft. I'm saying the month of May. There is so much that is going to happen before the month of May in the NFL and for the Tennessee Titans. They've got $78 million of cap space now that the cap has officially been set at 255.4. They've got a 7th overall pick, the 38th overall pick to go with it too. There's a lot of different ways that the Titans can improve their roster before you get to this Tee Higgins trade that I'm suggesting being interested in. So you don't know what they're going to be.
But Austin, don't play naive. We know where the Titans are going to be. And if they're not there, if they're not at the bottom 10 of the league, which is the lower third, I think the Titans right now and probably heading into the season will be a lower third team. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say anything right now. There's so much undone.
Like, I understand, but they're a lower third team. Okay, so my point is they're a lower third team, in my opinion. I'll say that, and in Vegas's opinion. But where you go spend your money is once you find a true full 17-game season on Will Levis. Because if he overperforms, right, now you then go pay the money for a free agent wide receiver without having to draft or without having to trade, like you're saying, next year.